Today, in the media conference with LAL GOEL, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, न्यूज गांव से संवाद सरोकार न्यूज मलनाडु टीवी organ donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic, and today's topic is not only relevant, but it's a very important topic. And the topic is the pursuit of happiness. खुशी खुशी खोजने वाली दुनिया. खुश रहने से सब होता है, दुख तो आफत भारी है. खुशी खोजने वाली दुनिया देखो तो दुखियारी है. चाहत तन की, चाहत मन की, चाहत सबको है धन की. तन मन धन के इस फंदे में बंधी ये दुनिया सारी है. खोज रहे हैं खुशियां लेकिन भूले हंसना मुस्काना. खोज खोज के प्यार हृदय का ली सबने बीमारी है. खोज रहा है तू क्या बंदे, अपने को तू खोज जरा. जब अपने को पा जाएगा खिल जाए फिलवारी है. धुन बंशी की टेर रहे हो, सुन लेना तुम स्वर अपना. सुनना जो संगीत चाहते हर धड़कन में जारी है. पी लो अपने आंसू सारे, औरों को बांटो खुशियां. देखो प्यारे जीत लुटाकर यह मस्ती की यारी है. गजल विरह की गीत मिलन का सुन सुन के क्यों थक जाता. गीत रचे जब मत वाला तो गजल बने वो न्यारी है. And as usual, every day, this short poem is written on our topics. Every day is new topic and new poem, short poem is been written by Mr. Paramatmanand Pandey Matwala. He is the president of Utho Jago Foundation. He is a journalist and farmer. Thank you very much, Paramanand Pandey Matwala ji. Happiness is not a goal. It is a byproduct of a life well lived. If there is one thing that can be said about happiness, it is that it is a wholly and utterly subjective. What makes one person happy picking flowers on a sunny day perhaps may make another person decidedly unhappy. Some believes that happiness is the natural state of humanity, as humans are drawn by the forces of pleasure and repulsed by pain. Exactly what gives that pleasure again varies widely. Researchers believe that the accumulation of wealth is a major source of pleasure. Material gain in the forms of money, property, and personal possessions is not the only way people pursue happiness. In one poll, it was found that people who were married, no matter what their income level was, were happier than single people. Things like new cars, large houses, and extensive portfolios, along with having a family and friends, make us happy to varying degrees. It is up to the individual to determine what makes him or her happy. The pursuit part, however, is a different story. Because happiness was widely considered a natural state for humans, it was believed to be what God intended and therefore deserved protection. The words proximity to two other natural rights, liberty and life, demonstrates happiness just as important. The legal and social frameworks provided by the Constitution are meant to create that protection. The path to happiness must be unobstructed as long as it does not interfere with another's happiness. The term happiness is used in the context of mental or emotional states, including positive or pleasant emotions ranging from contentment to intense joy. It also used in the context of life satisfaction, subjective well-being, eudaimonia, flourishing, and well-being. Since the 1960s, happiness research has been conducted in a wide variety of scientific disciplines, including social psychology and positive psychology, clinical and medical research. Since the 1960s, happiness research has been conducted in a wide variety of scientific disciplines, including a social psychology and positive psychology, clinical and medical research, and happiness economics. Happiness is the subject of debate on usage and meaning and on possible differences in understanding by culture. The word is mostly used in relation to two factors: the current experience of the feeling of an emotion, such as pleasure or joy, or of a more general sense of emotional condition as a whole. For instance, Daniel Kahneman has defined happiness as what I experience here and now. This usage is prevalent in dictionary definitions of happiness. Raoul Van Horn has defined happiness as overall appreciation of one's life as a whole. Kahneman has said that this is more important to people than current experience. Some usage can include both of these factors. Subjective well-being includes measures of current experience, emotions, moods, and feelings, and of life satisfaction. For instance, some described happiness as the experience of joy, contentment, or positive well-being, combined with a sense that one's life is good, meaningful, and worthwhile. Eudaimonia is a Greek term variously translated as happiness, welfare, flourishing, and blessedness. Xavier Landis has proposed that happiness include measures of subjective well-being, mood, and eudaimonia. These differences uses can give different results. For instance, the correlation of income levels has been shown to be substantial with life satisfaction measures, but to be far weaker, at least above a certain threshold, with current experience measures. Whereas Nordic countries often scores highest on SWAP survey, South American countries score higher on effect-based surveys of current positive life experiencing. The implied meaning of the word may vary depending on context, qualifying happiness as a polysem and a fuzzy concept. A further issue is when measurement is made, appraisal of a level of happiness at the time of the experience may be different from appraisal via memory at a later date. Personal happiness aims can be affected by cultural factors. Hedonism appears to be more strongly related to happiness in more individualistic cultures. Cultural views on happiness have changed over time. For instance, Western concern about childhood being a time of happiness has occurred only since the 19th century. Not all cultures seek to maximize happiness, and some cultures are averse to happiness. People in countries with high cultural religiosity tend to relate their life satisfaction less to their emotional experiences than people in more secular countries. In Advaita Vedanta, the ultimate goal of life is happiness in the sense that duality between Atma and Brahm is transcended and one realizes oneself to be the self in all. Patanjali, author of the Yoga Sutra, wrote quite extensively, exhaustively on the psychological and ontological roots of bliss. Theories on how to achieve happiness include encountering unexpected positive events, seeing a significant other, and basking in the acceptance and praise of others. However, others believe that happiness is not solely derived from external momentary pleasures. Various writers, including Thomas and Tolle, have written that the act of searching or seeking for happiness is incompatible with being happy. John Stuart Mill believed that for the great majority of people, happiness is best achieved and pleasant rather than striving for it directly. This meant no self-consciousness, scrutiny, self-interrogation, dwelling on, thinking about, imaging, or questioning on one's happiness. Then, if otherwise, fortunately, circumstanced, one would inhale happiness with the air you breathe. John Gruber has undertaken studies suggesting that seeking happiness can have negative effects, such as failure to meet over high expectations. Its moss has shown that the more people strive for happiness, the more likely they will set up too high of standards and feel disappointed. India has ranked at a dismal 144th as the United Nations on Friday released its World Happiness Report. A total of 156 nations were surveyed. India scored 3,573 points, ranking lower than Pakistan, which secured 5,693 points, ranking 66 out of all the countries surveyed. In the 2019 Happiness Index, India ranked 140, slipping 4 positions compared to last year. Meanwhile, Pakistan gained a position in the ranking compared to the last year's report. Finland secured the first rank, rated as high as 7,809 points for the third consecutive year. The country was followed closely by Denmark, 7,646 points, and Switzerland, 7,560 points, ranked at number 2 and 3 spots, respectively. Iceland and Norway secured the 4th and 5th rank, respectively. The happiest countries are those where people feel a sense of belonging, where they trust and enjoy each other and their shared institutions. There is also more resilience because shared trust reduces the burden of hardships and thereby lessens the inequality of well-being. And to discuss today's very, very important, relevant topic is the pursuit of happiness. We have a very elite, experienced, learned panel with us. I would like to invite my first guest, and he is Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, is one-man expert commission on labor to prepare an action plan for the welfare and development of the workforce in the context of COVID-19. He was former head of disaster management, Government of India, and Central Job Relief Commissioner, Government of India. He is also the principal advisor, Government of India Heritage Project. He was the vice chancellor of National Museum, University of Delhi. He has authored 40 books in English, Malayalam, and Hindi, including novels, short stories, and essays. 4 of his books have become bestsellers. 4 books on Vastu and architecture and 1 book on housing received prestigious the Sharjah International Book Fair Award. Dr. Bose is an housing expert, innovator, writer, orator, and visionary. The path-breaking institutions set up by him, such as Nimriti Kendra, Building Center, District Tourism Council, and Habitat Alliance, have been replicated at the state, national, and global level. He was the head of the prestigious Supreme Court Committee on the Treasures of Sri Padmaswamy Temple. Dr. Bose addressed United Nations General Assembly and specialized sessions 5 times on various international issues. Dr. Bose is a recipient of 31 national and international awards, including United Nations Global Best Practice Award. He also received prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru Fellowship. Kerala government termed him Lord of Ideas. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji called him inspired civil servant, and our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi called him man of ideas. And to discuss today's very, very important topic, the pursuit of happiness, I welcome Dr. C.V. Anand Bose and I want that Dr. Bose to give his thoughts on this topic. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, please.
Can be turned into a cause of unhappiness and vice versa. If you change your mindset, this is possible. Here is a selfish giant who turned unhappiness into happiness. Once upon a time, long, long ago, no one knows how long ago, there was this giant. He had happiness, a huge garden, house, which he had sold. There was a crowd around the house. He asked, what's happening here? They said, a treasure has been found inside the house. Happiness is like this. It is very much within you, within me, but we hunt for that treasure elsewhere. In some cases, Acquisition of many things gives people happiness. To some people, renunciation gives happiness. O. Henry has this story to tell. There was a young girl. She was laid up in bed. All she could do was look out through the window from her sick bed. There was a tree outside the window. Each day, the leaves will fall from the tree. The young girl knew with each leaf falling, she is losing a day in her life. There was this old man in the neighborhood. He's a painter. He was waiting for the day when his masterpiece would be painted. Now, there is only one leaf left in the tree. The girl knew with the fall of the last leaf, she will breathe her last on earth. She was sad. The neighbors were sad. Early morning, the neighbors peeped in through the window. The young girl was dancing with joy. She got a new lease of life. The last leaf has not fallen. The last leaf has not fallen. The neighbors saw under the tree an old man lying dead. That was the painter. The whole night, he painted the last leaf of the tree. That was his masterpiece. He sacrificed his life to save the life of the girl. He found happiness in supreme sacrifice. The Indian sages teach you to find happiness within you. The supreme happiness or ananda comes from the inner world, not the outer world. Here is a king who wanted happiness. The ministers advise him, wear the shirt of a person who has no worries in life. The king's men searched for such a person within the kingdom. There was no one without worries. Finally, they found a beggar on the wayside. The king's men asked him what worries he had. The beggar said, I have no worries. I have no money or wealth. So I am not worried about thieves. Somebody gives me something to eat. That is enough for me. I'm happy. The king's men knew, here is the happy person. The king can wear his shirt and be happy. They asked the beggar for his shirt, and he replied, I have no shirt. When you feel you have found happiness, it still eludes you. Then how do you find real happiness? There is a belief that there is a goddess who resides within your forehead. Her name is Tatha Astu, which means let it be so. If you feel I have money, I have wealth, but there is nobody to support me, nobody to love me, nobody to help me, I am sad, I cannot be happy. The goddess within you will say, Tatha Astu, let it be so. But if you feel I have only limited needs, my family loves me, I know God will protect me, I am happy. The goddess within you will say, Tatha Astu, let it be so. It shows happiness is within you. You make or mar your own happiness. If it all depends on your perceptions. Once Socrates was asked by a young man, Sir, how is Athens? Typical of himself, Socrates asked a counter question, catechism. Where are you from? I am from Crete. How is Crete? Stupid place. People are nasty, selfish, brutish. It's a hell. I'm not at all happy there. Socrates said, Athens is also like that. Another young man came to Socrates and asked, Sir, how is Athens? Socrates asked a counter question, where are you from? I'm from Crete. How is Crete? Beautiful place. Beautiful place. People are so affectionate and selfless. It is heaven upon earth. I'm very, very happy there. Socrates said, Athens is also like that. You know, Athens remains the same. It is a perception of people that changes. Similarly, happiness is there. It is our perception of happiness that changes. That is why it is said, one man's meat is another man's poison. Some cynic has amended it. One man's poison is another man's wife. The scientists would say, your happiness depends on the hormone dopamine. The more dopamine, the more happiness. But whatever science tells you cannot be taken always on the face value. Science has shown that the mere act of smiling can lift your mood, lower your stress, boost your immune system, and possibly even prolong your life. As doctors say, a smile spurs a chemical reaction in the brain, releasing certain hormones, including dopamine and serotonin. Your cause of happiness can be turned into a cause of unhappiness and vice versa. If you change your mindset, this is possible. Here is a selfish giant who turned unhappiness into happiness. Once upon a time, long, long ago, no one knows how long ago, there was this giant. He had a huge garden full of flowers all the time. Once he saw children of the neighborhood had sneaked into his garden. He did not like it at all. He drove the children away. He put up a huge stone wall around the garden and wrote, trespassers will be prosecuted. Came spring, there were flowers all around, but not a single flower in the giant's garden. The giant was very unhappy. Once he saw flowers blooming on a tree, he ran down with excitement. He found that the children of the neighborhood had again sneaked into his garden. They were perched upon a tree. The tree welcomed them with bountiful flowers. Seeing the giant, the children ran away in fright. The flowers also fell on the ground. The giant knew the meaning of it all. He took a big axe and destroyed the stone wall around his garden. He said, flowers are beautiful. Children are the most beautiful flowers of all. The giant realized the cause of his unhappiness has now become the cause of his happiness. Giant or beggar, king or sage, we should learn how to find happiness from within. And now, the primordial question, what is happiness? Here is Franklin D. Roosevelt, who is on record. Happiness lies in the joy of achievement and thrill of creative effort. Bertrand Russell, who is concerned with the conquest of happiness, he is dinning into our ears, if there were in the world today, any large number of people who desired their own happiness more than they desire the unhappiness of others, we could have been a paradise in a few years. Yes, happiness lies within you. Just pick it out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Although Dr. Bose could not join live today because he has to go for an urgent meeting, being in the government of India as his one-man expert commission, but he was kind enough to send his recording, which I was played here, and I will only use one sentence, which he said, that the happiness is within you. You go and pick it up. So this is the essence of the happiness as per Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, for giving your views. Now, I would like to invite my next guest, and he is Yogacharya Swami Shri Venudas. योगाचार्य स्वामी श्री वेणुदास जी, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है हमारे शो में. Yogacharya Swami Shri Venudas is an eminent international spiritual poet, singer, and musician. He was born in Kerala and now based in Paris since 1996. Swami Shri Venudas ji has been teaching across Europe. Swami Shri Venudas was introduced to the highest spiritual concepts by his grandfather, Shri Deva Perumal, who taught him all the essential notions of teaching and guidance, as well as the crucial relationship between pupil and master, Guru Kula. A poet and musician dedicated to the study of Vedanta, Yoga, and Ayurveda, Swami Shri Venudas' grandfather was a wise man with a deep love of nature and a great awareness of all its benefits. From the age of 4, under his grandfather's guidance, Sri Venudas was exposed to the foundations of Hatha Yoga and classical singing, a legacy which he treasures and has been passionately devoted to ever since. Known for being a gifted singer, Swami Shri Venudas has performed across Europe and India and taught music along with great texts of Indian spirituality, Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Sutra, and Patanjali, and yoga for over 30 years. He teaches with kindness and beauty the spiritual purity and benefits of the dharma that is in harmony with the cosmic laws, physical health, and spiritual liberation, aiming to reunite with the world. आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है योगाचार्य स्वामी श्री वेणुदास जी हमारे शो में. आप अपने को अनम्यूट कर लीजिए प्लीज. योगाचार्य स्वामी श्री वेणुदास जी, अभी you have heard what Dr. C.V. Anand Bose IAS has mentioned in his opening remarks. And he emphasized that the happiness is within. Happiness has nothing to do with the material world, like the Western culture, which says that the happiness belongs to those persons who have lots of money, cars, and whatnot. But according to Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, it is nothing but your happiness within you. And he has narrated few of the stories and those experiences of other wise people. Now, we would like to know from you the pursuit of happiness. Yogacharya Swami Shri Venudas, please.
Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. It's been such a lovely occasion to listen to our Bosji, Anand Bosji. As he mentioned in his speech, happiness is within. It is a beautiful and accurate dimension of happiness, and he explained what is happiness means as well. He was nourishing and narrating very well. According to Patanjali Yoga Sutra, in Sadhana Padam 30 and 32 verses, we can see there is description of Yama and Niyama. In Niyamas, Yama is a social code. There are 5 things that we have to respect in association with our social life. And Niyamam is a personal code that we have to maintain and respect individually. The second one is named Santosha on the Niyamas. Santosham. This is what human is ultimately looking for, materially or spiritually, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously. We are all in search of this unseen friend, happiness. But very funny thing is that generally human being is looking for his happiness externally, is vagabonding here and there in search of happiness that he thinks I will find it one day, either in laboratories or in the ashrams or in various sort of pleasures that I can perform along with. Nevertheless, disappointingly, often we don't find the happiness. All the happiness that we find, it is not complete or fulfilling, not enough. But it's not human's fault that he is doing that way, because to know this world, we have few help from the nature. It is our indriyas, our sensory organs, internal and external, under indriya bahindriya. They are all opened externally, towards external world. Are all karanas, bahya karanas and the karanas, they are all open outward in search of subjects we call vishayas. As far as we get interacted to this world, indriyas are always in association with these pleasures from external. And we think this is reality. Little by little, we forget the ultimate goal, the true sense of life. We forget it. And we are still keeping on running all around in order to get this incomplete desire to be fulfilled. I just remember a little story that I used to listen when I was a little boy. Story goes this way. There was a young boy, an orphan, abandoned by his parents and the society as well. He was born blind, no way to survive and to live his life properly. He used to go to the market every day, sit on a corner, put his hat over there, and there was just a panel written, "I am blind, help me." Of course, as we all know, most of the people don't have the time to see such things. We are very busy. Busyness itself gets busy these days. People could not see him correctly in this heavy crowd in the market often. Sometimes he gets few coins, sometimes he doesn't get. One day there was a stranger came across the market and he saw this little boy sitting there and begging for some coins for his food. Of course, he has donated, shared some of his coins to this boy. But what he did, he took this little panel, erased what was on it, and put it back. That day, this little boy had the most immense collection of money and other gifts ever than before. And at the end of the day, this gentleman, the stranger, came back, and boy could listen his footsteps. He asked, "Please, Mr. Stay over. Help me. What did you do on my little signboard? I know you have done something on it." He said, "Oh, nothing else, nothing special. I just erased what you wrote on it or somebody wrote for you, and I wrote another sentence on it." Boy was so curious. Yes, what was the sentence? What is the sentence now? The man said, "It is a beautiful day, but I can't see. Before it was, I am blind, help me." We can't see such things. We need a hit often to open our heart to see the reality. When we are very much sad, when we pass through an agony, we see the God immediately. We kneel down immediately to pray and to ask for boons. When we are having some advantages of life, achievements of life, we always say, "It's because of my personal graceness that I am this way today." So that little sentence changed the perspective of the passengers, people who were passing around. It rang a bell in them. So here, as our Ambodji said, happiness is within us. It is there always, as if a full moon covered by the clouds. All we need, the cloud to be away. It's easy to preach very well, but we are the one who face the reality. When we are sad, when we are confronted by the realities of life, our inner happiness fade and fade and fade. There, what we can do, there is a verse in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Heyam Dukkham Anagatam, which means one must be able to destroy the sadness which is not yet there. I always love this phrase. Very simple. Heyam Dukkham Anagatam. One must be skilled enough, one must be prudent enough to recognize and destroy the sadness which is not yet there. Then that sadness is the cloud. As soon as this sadness goes away, the ultimate happiness, which is our Swarupa, our nature is happiness, Anandam. We all touch that every single day when we sleep so deeply in Sushupti. We are Anandam. We don't have any other consciousness about the material factors. There we are an ultimate form of unmatched. We cannot compare with anything. That Anandam, extreme blissfulness is still there. We touch that every single day. But during the day when we are awake in Jagrat, we are in association with the plenty of innumerable subjects that which revolves in the mind. So we can say cleaning up the mind will reveal the happiness. Chittasya Shuddhaye Karma. Ultimate purpose of karma is to clean up the mind. Yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutra starts itself that way. So, for my humble opinion, we don't need to search for the happiness at the first place outside. We have the treasure within us. Let us find where it's hidden. Once upon a time, I'll conclude. I think I am about that.
No, please go ahead.
Once upon a time, there was a time the gods and the human lived equally. Both had the same graceness. They didn't have any separation. They were living together as the same status. But there was a little difference that gods have got godness. Human did not have. So after several centuries or several time of good service, human was now deserving the godness. They are obliged to share the godness with the human being. Suddenly, gods assembled and said, no, that is not good. If you share our godness, our mighty godness to human being, they will misuse it, they will abuse it. Not only that, we will not have our chair anymore. So what we can do, let us hide this godness from human being. They were searching for the places to hide. Somebody said, oh, we can just throw that into the sea. Another god said, no, that's useless because they will create towns under the sea one day. That's not a good place to hide. Someone else said, no, we can make a huge hole on earth and hide it in a hole down. They said, no, they will also find, they will come there too for several researches and so on, especially friends. Then they said, okay, let's throw that in the vast, in the sky, somewhere in the emptiness. No, they will come there too. They don't have any place to hide. Finally, after several days of conferences, one came up with an idea. Here I have an idea. What is that? We can hide this graceness, godness into the heart of human being itself so that they will never ever find it. That's what happened. We all have that right in the middle of our heart. So my humble opinion is that just need to reveal what we are actually. Parama Purushartham. We have to head all our karmas towards that Parama Purushartham, the ultimate goal of life. Dharmam, Ardham, Kamam, Moksham. Liberation from all this revolving interaction of life. Still we can have it, but not to be attached by that. As if that you cut a jackfruit. There is a sap which is so sticky. It's so difficult to separate that from the knife and the hand itself. But if you have a little bit oil on the knife and the hand, you can have the fruit so enjoyably. So that's my humble opinion. Namaste.
Namaste ji. Thank you very much, Yogacharya Swami Shri Venudas ji, for giving such a inspirational, I will say, full of happiness, your opening remarks. And what Swamiji has mentioned is very clearly that happiness is within. He also endorsed what Dr. Bose has said, but he has given few of the examples. And one instance which he has mentioned about a small blind boy who was begging in the street and writing that I am a blind, please help me. But he was not getting anything, very few coins he was getting. But once one fellow has changed the version and wrote that today is a beautiful day, but I can't see, he got many things. So the meaning of this is that if we change our outlook a bit, we can get the happiness, and the happiness is within. And he has also given an instance of the god, that one of the god has given godly things to the human being, and then it was decided that it will create a problem to how to hide from the humans, because it already came to the earth. And people suggested throw in the sea or throw in the sky or put it in a big hole, but ultimately it was decided why not to hide in the heart, and ultimately found that people are not searching inside. Now this is what the happiness. So happiness is there. One has to look inside and find where is the happiness. And once you are happy from inside, definitely you will be the happiest person on the earth. Thank you very much, Yogacharya Swami Shivenudas ji, for giving your such a inspirational thoughts. I'm sure our viewers are very well enjoying and listening and going to follow many things which you have told and which you are going to tell in the next rounds. Thank you very much, Yogacharya Swami Venudas ji. Now, I would like to invite my next guest, and she is Miss Srikumari Ramchandran. Miss Srikumari Ramchandran is a renowned author, writer, and orator. She is a writer in the mainstream of Malayalam literature. She is a trained dancer and an accomplished singer. She bagged numerous trophies in the state level, school, college, youth festivals. She is a graduate in economics from Kerala University and a Visharad in Hindi language from Dakshin Bharat Hindi Prachar Sabha. After an early marriage to Advocate C. Ramchandra Menon, she chose to live the quiet life of a homemaker for nearly 20 years. She took to writing in 1988. By 1992, she got auditioned by the All India Radio and was elevated to be high grade in music. Since then, she has presented Sugam Sangeet and Bhakti Sangeet on All India Radio, Trichur and Doordarshan, Trivandrum. She has authored around 30 books spreading over a vast spectrum of subjects. She is an excellent orator and a columnist and a regular at television talk shows and debates. She has been actively involved in the socio-cultural activities of the Cochin city and holds a place of esteem. Welcome, Ms. Sri Kumari Ramchandran ji on our show. You have heard Dr. C.V. Anand Bose as well as Yogacharya Swami Sri Venudas, and both have defined the happiness, that the happiness is within, and they have explained how we are not searching our inside soul. If we will search inside, we will find the happiness. Now, you are being a renowned author, writer, and orator, as well as a dancer. So you might have felt so many moments when you might have got the real happiness. Now, we would like to know from you the pursuit of happiness, Miss Sri Kumari Ramchandran, please. Please unmute yourself.
Both Dr. Anand Bose and Swami Venudas have asserted how happiness stays within us. Dr. Bose exemplified how Berman, the protagonist of O. Henry's story, The Last Leaf, found absolute bliss in supreme sacrifice. And Swami Venudas said how even after the gods instilled godliness in him, man wandered in search of it, little realizing that it stayed within him. So now for my opinion, I think happiness is the elixir of life. Happiness is basically a state of mind which cannot be expressed or described in words. Happiness is the enjoyment of an absolute bliss, and this is the simplest way to define happiness. The degree of joy might vary from person to person. It is not necessary that things that accelerate me could make another one happy. I might not revel in things that rejoice someone else. That means everyone has to pursue his happiness in his own way. We will not find joy if we follow the path of a stranger. First of all, let me tell you that we must understand that human life is not a smooth sail. It is a trek across a mount strewn with sharp stones and thorns. We will come across more dips than ups during this journey of life. It is basically the premises that the happiness of the individual person is inextricably linked to the well-being of the humanity in general. Can we be happy in a family that is unsound and has no unity among its members? Can we be happy in a society which is troubled? Can we be happy in a state that is under the sway of anarchy? How can we be happy in a country that lacks peace? I would suggest that we should discern happiness in a panoramical dimension. According to Vedantists, I mean philosophers, Real happiness is not in the senses, but above the senses or beyond the senses. And they say it is in every man. We have to delve into our own subliminal self and discover it. According to their exhortations, selfishness breeds unhappiness, and selflessness or magnanimity yields happiness. But ordinary intellect is not sufficient to imbibe the philosophy. We can only preach, philosophers can only preach, but only people with a higher level of intellect and a good acquaintance with the worldly affairs will have the wisdom to comprehend the Vedic philosophy, which is very, very deep. But then there is another source that enlighten us about happiness in a simpler way. Our epics, namely Ramayana and Mahabharata, would definitely help even the common man, even the illiterates, to discover the world of happiness. They teach us everything about human life. They tell us what to do and what not to do to be happy. As for me, I have always been imbibing lessons from them by repeated reading. They have helped me to cast off my inhibitions and grow up to be a woman of confidence. There were many sources, they were my sources of energy. Even today, they inspire me, they inspirit me. I have passed through many phases of lows in my life. But again, the epics helped me to tide over the unbecoming phases as easily as cakewalks. The epic did teach me to be optimistic. In Ramayana, we come across an elucidation by Rama on how even moments of sorrow can be converted into moments of great joy. For instance, when Lakshmana lashed out against the conspiracy of Kaikeyi and the cruel injustice that victimized Rama, Rama stayed unperturbed, for he had the mental equipoise to discern the situation with great composure. He looks at his life in exile as a God given opportunity to enjoy the sylvan beauty of the forests and mountains, and also an opportunity to live in the company of the rishis. On another occasion, Lakshmana stands in a bewilder, looking at River Ganga that was full of whirlpools and huge boulders. He constructs a raft to cross the river, but he dares not take his brother and Sita across the river. Here also, we come across an elucidation by Rama. He tells Lakshmana that even the most unfavorable circumstances can be made favorable if one has the will and fortitude. So, when we read Ramayana, we understand that happiness and sorrow sprout up from the same source, that is our innate mind. Ullur S. Parameshwara Iyer, the great poet of Kerala, has rightly sung in his poem that man creates his own heaven and his own hell. In Malayalam, Namukku Name Panivadu Nagam Narakavu Madhupole. This is the Malayalam verse. The meaning is man creates his own heaven and his own hell. It is for us to decide whether to be happy or unhappy. I have seen people invoking sorrow by self-sympathy. I would look at it as a psychological disorder. Unfortunately, there is no treatment for such psychological ailments. Such people have to find out a way to escape the condition in their own way. Here again, I will cite the example of Rama and Sita. They lived in the forest of Chitrakoot as happily as they lived in Ayodhya amidst all royal luxuries. They were as comfortable and happy in clothes made of the inner bark of trees as they were in silks. They relished fruits, honey, tubers, and other things in the forest as happily as they relished the daintily cooked dishes of the palace kitchen. They enjoyed the company of the rishis as heartily as they used to enjoy the company of the urban population of Ayodhya. The chirpings of the forest birds lifted their hearts as sweetly as the melodies of the palace singers. From all these, we understand that happiness is not a condition of life. In fact, the true secret of happiness lies in our attitude. It is based on the way we discern life, be it a man or a woman. Family, I always stand for the family. Family is the basic source of happiness. Each and every member of the family shall take genuine interest in all the details of daily life. In a family, caring and sharing mean a lot. They are the keystones of a happy life. From my experience as a family being and a social being, I would rather prescribe an 8 rule capsule that could help one to be happy. One, it's not philosophy, it's not Veda, nothing, it's purely worldly. One, never interfere in the life, freedom, and privacy of others, even if they are your own children, lest their rebuff would lower your spirits. Freedom is precious to all. Two, be contented with what you have, especially money. For comparing yourself with others who are in a better financial position than you would lower your spirits. Help others. The third one, help others as far as possible in whatever small way you can, for it will give you a sense of satisfaction. To be of use to someone will give you a great feeling of gratification. Monetary help is not the only help one can offer. Not everyone can do it also. Physical help or physical service is the best help one can offer to others who are in need of it. Providing moral support to those who need it also is a kind of service, but never expect anything in return. For gratitude is very, very dear in this world. When ignored by the very same people whom you have helped, your spirits will sink for sure and you will be unhappy. So either you do not help others at all or follow the help and forget policy as suggested by Lord Krishna in his Gita. Karmanyevadhikaraste na ma phaleshu kadachana. Now, five, avoid arguments to prove your upmanship and knowledge, because arguments sire enmity even among siblings. The result will be nothing but unhappiness. Now, the sixth ingredient of the capsule, live in harmony with your neighbors, because you will have to depend on them during times of need. A good neighbor will cheer up your mind like a good sibling. Now, seven, try to live with your own money, which you earn from your own sweat, and never borrow money from anyone as far as possible. The feeling of obligation is bitter and it will lower your spirits. Nonetheless, financial security is very important in life. I would say that. Now, eight, to be happy, we shall define ourselves and must not allow other people's limited perceptions to define us. We might have our own plus points and minus points. Think only about the plus points. To be happy, let us do what we can with what we have wherever we are. And ultimately, the very purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. Happiness is the ultimate freedom from dukkha, that is suffering. Vivekananda defines it thus: happiness or freedom from suffering is not love nor hate, nor pleasure nor pain, nor death nor life. And according to Jesus Christ, you will be happy and peaceful when the Lord pervades your heart. Happiness is also a journey, very much like a trip of pilgrimage. It's a pursuit, it's a process. It might be hidden within us. Happiness may be hidden within us. It may be spread all around us, like in the most sold book across the world, The Alchemist. The treasure for which the protagonist searched far and wide was hidden under his very nose, where he started from. So we all pursue it, but happiness is all around. We forget that it's all around us. We just need to reach out to it. And I too believe that trust in the absolute one, that is, trust in God, is a source of hope, peace, and joy. To understand this, just read our epics and also the biographies of our great saint poets like Tulsidas, Mirabai, Sant Kabir, Surdas, and others in this line.
Thank you very much, Srikumari ji, for giving such a 8-point capsule, which she says that if we will follow, then the happiness will always be there. And she insisted and emphasized that the epics like Ramayana or other great things which have been written in past, and the great personalities like Vivekananda or Tulsidas or Surdas, if we will read and study what they have written, then we can get the real happiness. And instead of going for the worldly things, if we, even if we have to face, because when you are in this world, you will be facing lots of things, but if you are taking solace in these types of epics, you will get the answer to your sorrow, and you may feel the happiness which is required today. Although he says, according to Ms. Srikumari, to help others, to be compassionate, and to live for the betterment of the others or the society is the real happiness. Thank you very much, Ms. Srikumari Ramchandran, for giving your such a beautiful views. Now, I would like to ask the question to Dr. Bose, which I have already asked him, and the reply which he has given. So I am just asking, the question was, the Dr. Bose, we hear nowadays gross happiness index. Will you please enlighten us about this concept? And he has given this answer.
It's not just a philosophical concept or a spiritual concept. Happiness falls within the realm of practical administration as well. Happiness has emerged on the central stage of governance. In 1972, the then King of Bhutan came up with a bright idea of gross national happiness. In 2008, this concept was enshrined in the Constitution of Bhutan. The United Nations recommended it to the whole world for adoption. In the World Economic Forum in Davos, the concept of happiness was accepted by the economists, and gross happiness index replaced gross domestic product, GDP. The world recognized there is something beyond the GDP. That is a gross national happiness. What is the gross national happiness? There are three pillars for it. 1, good governance. 2, sustainable socio-economic development. 3, cultural preservation. And 4, environmental conservation. These are the 4 pillars of the new concept of gross national happiness. This is further divided into 9 categories. 1, psychological well-being. Not economic development, psychological well-being. 2, health. 3, education. 4, time use. 5, cultural diversity and resilience. 6, good governance. 7, community vitality. 8, ecological diversity and resilience. And only 9 is living standards. Now, take for instance the success stories of 2 great billionaires of the world, the German tycoon Krupp and Rockefeller of America. Krupp rolled in money, and for his grand birthday, world leaders came from all over the world. But one person was conspicuous by her absence. That is Krupp's wife. She was not happy with the heartless wealth of her husband. And Rockefeller destroyed all his rivals in business and made tons of money. His son once asked him, "Why do you make so much money?" No one is happy about it. The Rockefeller Foundation for Philanthropy was created at the instance of his son. Now, Rockefeller is remembered for the good work done by his foundation. In making money, he spoiled the happiness of many, including that of his and his son. But when that money was well spent, it made many people happy. The Bhagavad Gita tells us, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma paleshu kadayana. Do your duty and mindful of the results. The Bhagavad Gita also says, Jadasya hi dhruvam mrityum, dhruvam janma mritasyata, tasmad apariharyate, natvam shochitam arhasi. Those who are born will die, those who die will be reborn. Why fret about things over which you have no control? In the pursuit of happiness, I am not with the Epicureans or the Bohemians, but I am certainly with Omar Khayyam, who says in his Rubaiyat, unborn tomorrows, dead yesterdays, why fret about them if today be the sweet? Harivansh Rai Bachchan, father of Amitabh Bachchan, says in his poem, Jo beet gayi, so baat gayi. There is a doha in Hindi, Tera sai tuj mein, Tera sai tuj mein, jo pukupan mein baas, Kasturi ka mirg jo bhar bhar thunde khas. Your God is within you, but like the musk deer who searches for the fragrance in the grass around, you search for God all around. This is very relevant in the case of happiness. Your happiness is within you. No need to search around like the musk deer. I have a shortcut for happiness. This is my personal recipe. My name itself means happiness, Ananda. Now my worry is why Ananda is not becoming Paramananda. I hope the all-knowing Goelji, our distinguished mentor, and our very dear viewers will find an answer to this dilemma. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bose. And you have, instead of giving the answer, you have put a question to us to answer. Okay, we will find out this answer. Now, I would like to ask our next guest, Swamiji. Swamiji, Dr. Bose also mentioned, you also mentioned, and Ms. Srikumari Ramchandran has also mentioned that we have happiness within. Now, today's time, which is a very materialistic time, everyone is running after money, earning name, fame. Nobody is having time. Everyone is busy. Now, how to get that inner happiness? Because the answer, pursuit to happiness is fine. I remember by this name, there was a novel written, and then there's a movie was made, very famous movie of the same name, The Pursuit of Happiness, in which I will just mention one thing, that a person who has lost everything, and at one time, he and his son spent time in a washroom of a railway station. And after that, that person become very rich. And in the concluding, before the conclusion of the movie, he asked his son, now I have everything, so you are happy? So he said, no, Daddy, I was happy when we spent time together in that washroom of that railway station. Now, if these are the definitions or the things of happiness, and we are searching happiness, we are working day and night for the happiness, why we cannot find happiness when, as you said, everybody says it's within us? What is the way? Can you tell us the way, so I can also pass the way to Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, so his name can be changed from Dr. C.V. Anand Bose to Parmanand Bose? Swamiji, please.
Such a lovely thing to listen from him. Anand Bose ji makes me laugh all the time. It's such a sense of humor is hidden in his each speech all the time. But his sense of humor leads us to a higher level of thoughts. That is wonderful, Ananda to Paramananda, that we are all looking for. So what I'm thinking, according to your question, is that human being, that we are known as human beings. I have a doubt, when we became human doings. Instead of human being, we became human doing. We are doing a lot of things. Every single day, we are thrown away from this subject to the other subject, always. More doing than sitting somewhere and observing something. It is not happening. Also, we are losing the chances or the habits or the nature of laughter. Laughter is missing, I think. I remember an incident here in what happened in Paris. Years back, I was taken to a cinema to watch an Indian movie. Usually I don't go to movies that much. Even though I love movies, I watch at home generally. But some of my students insisted on me, Swamiji, you must come and see this movie. It's made in your country. I said, that's the first reason I don't want to come, because the movies that is made for Europeans, I'm not appealed by that. No, Swamiji, you must come. So I went there in this movie. As you know, in Europe, you have to keep a certain silence in the movie, in the cinemas. So I went there, but I started laughing a lot. And at one point, I was interrupting the movie projection. They stopped the movie, and they came down to talk to me. Mister, please stop laughing, because the movie was called Lunchbox. I laughed a lot. Why? It was so spontaneous for me to laugh because it's in my language and I can listen. Others were having kind of breath, sort of pranayama. They were holding the Andhara Kumbhaga all day long, all the movie long. I could not stop laughing. So I think we are losing this chance of laughing, finding the reasons to be a laughing element in life. There, as an answer for your question, I would say a little reminder from our past ancestors, from gurus. Ayantam apekshaniyam, gadam gadam sarvam upekshaniyam. Ayantam apekshaniyam, gadam sarvam upekshaniyam. Whatever the life brings to you, receive it with the most humbleness. Whatever is supposed to leave you, don't hold it at all. Leave it go. While you can have interaction with the life, you have to enjoy whatever there is. Life is very short time. But even though it's very short time, we can do a lot. Human has this immense power compared to other animals and other creatures. The choice. Our life is turning with the two alphabets actually. B, second letter, and D, birth and death. But there is another letter in between, which is C, which is choice. We have choice. So a proper way of using this power of choice will reveal the internal happiness which is hidden. Uddhared atmanatmanam, atmanam avasadayet, atmaivyakhyatmano bandhu, bandhuratmaiva, atmaiva ripudatmana. We are our own enemy and the best friend also. Be the best friend of ourselves so we can be friend for everyone.
बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you very much, Swamiji, for giving such a beautiful answer. And I'm sure that we would like to follow what you have said, and our viewers would like to do that, so that at least the happiness should come out. Now, my question goes to Ms. Srikumari Ramchandran ji. When people from other countries are coming to our country, as you say, we have so much great persons, and we have, for solacing for the peace and happiness. Why we are not finding that peace and happiness here? Our index, global happiness index, is 144th. So why it is happening? Why we are not getting the advantages, as you have mentioned about EPIC and all the great persons we have here? And we have to, the foreign people are coming to our country, whether they are going to Rishikesh, Varanasi, Mathura, Vrindavan, Kashi, or wherever they find those happiness and peace. Why we are not, ourselves are getting that happiness and peace in our own country, and making our country more happier than other countries, and not at the 144th position out of 156 countries, which is very, very pathetic. Ms. Srikumari, please.
I believe that it is basically because of the culture and heritage for which India is known for. Over the ages, she has been looked upon as a guru. I have told this even before. I believe that the people of India, they enjoy happiness more than the people of countries that are in a much better position than her in the material field. I would give credit to the family concept of our nation, which still uphold the joint family system. And we prefer natural things. I think many of us, we prefer natural sources and natural materials, natural things than artificial things. To explain this, I may have to tell a small story if I have time. Time, I think.
Yes, yes.
That is, once there lived a king who was very popular among his subjects. Every night after his hectic work, he would lie down on his bed. He had a garden close to his bedroom, and there was a nightingale. And this nightingale, she would come and sit on the windowsill of the king's bedroom and sing a song. Every day she will sing a new song. The king would sleep peacefully, enjoying her melodies. This went on until one day a stranger, I'm underlining, a stranger came to the palace and gifted a toy bird to the king. It had gem-studded body. The whole frame of the bird was gems, full of gems, and a ruby adorning its crest. And he told the king, just press this button on its rear, and this bird will sing non-stop. The king was very happy. The bird is going to sing non-stop. So he took the mechanical bird, the toy bird, to his bedroom and lay on the bed and press the button on its rear. And lo, it began to sing. It was a good song. So the bird was singing. When the nightingale came, she saw that the king is snoring off in his bed. She left with a sunken heart. The following day also, she came to the bedroom to see the king sleeping in the bed peacefully. She was shattered and she flew away to a faraway forest. Days rolled by. At the palace, the king was bored after listening to the same song. Repetition, same song rendered by the toy bird. Fed up of the toy bird, he threw it away and yearned for his nightingale. In a couple of days, he fell ill. Medicines failed to cure him. Meanwhile, the nightingale got news about the king. She was in the forest. From the forest, she rushed back to the palace. She was sad to find her king rolling on the bed without getting proper sleep. So she sat on the windowsill and began to sing a new melody. The king had a flutter in his heart. After weeks, he slept peacefully. The following day, the king woke up afresh, much to the surprise and joy of his ministers and family. The king told them the truth and said, my nightingale is back. So I found my joy in the nightingale. So there is a moral in this story that we seek better or new pastures of joy, ignoring the worth of what we have within our reach. So let us follow the philosophic precepts of our land and seek happiness in our own self. I think the precepts of our acharyas are the best precepts to seek joy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Srikumari ji, for giving such a good giving the story. Our viewers might have also enjoyed, and they might be enjoying the happiness. And you mentioned about the singing and the song. And now, I would come back to our Yogacharya ji, Swami ji. Dr. Bose, when I spoke to him, he told me that the Swamiji sings very beautifully, and he is very big fan of your singing. I think I will not complete this program unless you will sing something which will be definitely giving happiness to all our viewers. So I request Swamiji to sing whichever language you want to sing. If although you said that you are singing in different languages, so whichever language you feel like, so we would like to hear that.
All
Swamiji,
right.
please.
Namaste, namaste. He has overestimation on me. Well, it's early morning here, so I will not sing a huge thing, but I can sing concerned to our subject as well. Some slokas from Narayaniyam. 2 slokas from Narayaniyam, please. आनीलश्लक्ष्णकेशं ज्वलितमकरसत्कुण्डलं मन्दहासस्यन्द्यार्द्रम् कौस्तुभश्रीपरिगतवनमालोरुहाराभिरामम् श्रीवत्साङ्गं सुबाहुं मृदुलसदुदरं काञ्चनच्छायचेलम् चारुस्निग्धोरुमम्बोरुहललितपदं भावये अहं भवन्तम् शब्दब्रह्मेति कर्मेत्यणुरिति भगवन् कालयित्यालपन्ति त्वामेकं विश्वहेतुं सकलमयतया सर्वधा कल्प्यमानम् वेदान्त्यैर्यत्तु गीतं पुरुषपरचिदात्माभिधं तत्तु तत्त्वं प्रेक्षामात्रेण प्रेक्षामात्रेण मूलप्रकृतिविकृतिकृ कृष्ण तस्मै नमस्ते।
बहुत 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 धन्यवाद. Thank you very much, Swami ji. Such a nice and melodious voice you have. So I can very well say the Dr. Bose not over estimate or over expected, but rather you are underestimating yourself. It's not like this that you are really having such a beautiful song voice, and you are singing in such a good, in a sur. I will say that there is nothing which can not make you, and now that is why you are such a renowned person and a singer and a musician. Thank you very much. So today you have seen how the pursuit to happiness, which is within us, the happiness is within us. We have to find out, but only thing is, for that one has to look inside. And as Dr. Bose mentioned, it is within us. Swamiji mentioned, it is with us. Only thing is, we have to search for that thing, not going for those materialistic things. And we must try to laugh for all the reasons, so that at least we will get that happiness. If we are happy, we can make the society happy. And what Miss Srikumari Ramchandran has mentioned, that happiness is there, and it is there in our Indian culture. And she has mentioned about the epics, about Ramayana, about the great personalities, great saints, sadhu, mahatmas, who have taught in this, who were there in this country, and who have taught all of us many, many great things. And that's why happiness is there. Only thing is, we are becoming, our civil society is becoming more materialistic, and that's why the happiness index is going down of the country. So if we have to see that our country should come up and to be the global leader, even in the happiness index, we must be happy ourselves. And if we all are happy, we will keep everyone others happy, and the country will be very, very happy. Thank you very much, Swamiji, for joining us live from Paris. I know it's very early. When our program started, it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and right now also it's not that late, very early, but I am very happy and that you have joined. Thank you very much, Ms. Srikumari ji, from joining and giving your thoughts. And thank you very much, Dr. Bose. Although we missed you today's program, but you are kind enough to give the complete sense of the topic through your recorded version. Thank you very much. And thank you all the viewers for watching us. And today's program, which has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon se Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day new topic. And tomorrow, media conference with LAL GOEL at 10:30 a.m. The topic is cricket, challenges and solutions. And our esteemed panelists are Wing Commander Arjit Ghosh, retired renowned columnist and author, former Ranji Trophy cricketer and coach, Bengaluru; Mr. Grant Wade Jensen, provincial cricketer and coach, multiple Ironman finisher, Cape Town, South Africa. Dr. Kundan Kumar, renowned sports physiotherapist, physio, BCCI, BCA, Patna, and Dr. Suhail Ahmad Mir, President J&K Physiotherapist Association, Physio, Arunachal Cricket Team, Srinagar. Please tune in tomorrow for the media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 am. Thank you very much and namaskar, Swamiji. Thank you very much and namaskar, Srikumari ji. And thank you, Dr. Bose, for giving your views. Thank you very much and thank you all the viewers.